Right now, your company is likely bleeding about $1 million a year.
$1 million, just like that.
Just like that. And it is entirely because a guy named Dave in your engineering department he's going to quit next month.
Oh, I know Dave. I feel like every company has a Dave.
Right. Dave's basically the only human on Earth who remembers why your core database was built the way it is. And when he walks out that door, his knowledge just completely vanishes into thin air.
It's $1 million void. Just a total black hole of institutional memory that, frankly, absolutely no piece of software can magically fill.
Which is exactly why we need a drink. So, welcome to the bar. We've clocked out, grabbed a beverage, and honestly, after staring at screens all day, unpacking this mess face-to-face is exactly what the doctor ordered.
Cheers to that. It's much needed.
Absolutely. Now, for the official record, I need to look right at you and say, this is episode 13 of the podcast, The Hidden Costs of Knowledge Loss in Enterprise AI.
Very official.
I know, right? But for the rest of our time here, just consider this a deep dive. Just the three of us unpacking a massive stack of industry research about why our modern workplaces are, drowning in software tools, but absolutely starved for actual answers.
I mean, it really is the central paradox of the modern knowledge worker. We have an application for literally every conceivable task.
Literally every task.
Right. Yet the sheer friction of executing a basic job it's never been higher.
Exactly. And we're going to look at why slapping artificial intelligence on top of this fractured software pile is actually creating a whole new category of miserable labor.
Yeah, it's not the magic fix everyone thinks it is.
Not at all. So by the time you finish that drink, you'll understand exactly how this disconnected knowledge is quietly draining your company's revenue and how to spot it happening on your own team.
So let's start by diagnosing the root of the headache. The research identifies this concept of knowledge silos as the primary culprit.
Knowledge silos.
Right. Yeah. Information gets trapped in individual tools, or it's divided up by departments, or even segmented by specific stages of a customer's journey.
Give me an example of how that actually looks in practice.
Well, think of how a typical B2B transaction flows, right? Marketing generates a lead in their automation platform.
Okay, that's tool number one.
Exactly. Then sales takes over and logs all their notes in the CRM.
Tool number two.
Right. And then customer success inherits the client and tracks all their issues in a completely separate ticketing system.
So the company now has three fractured, isolated versions of the exact same customer.
Exactly. It's a mess.
Okay, let's unpack this. It's like having a world-class library, but all the books are locked in different windowless, soundproof rooms, and you only have the key to one of them.
Oh, that's a good way to look at it. But honestly, reading through this research, it feels even more systemic than that.
Yeah, how so?
It's like a city grid where instead of connecting to a central power plant, every single department just went out and bought its own expensive, completely incompatible diesel generator.
Oh man, that is a much more accurate framework. Because everyone is running their own generator, the grid just fails to function as a whole.
Precisely. And the data points to three distinct taxes that organizations pay for running these disparate systems.
Okay, lay them on me. What's the first tax?
The first is the switching tax. The average company maintains something like 137 different apps.
Wait, 137?
Yeah, and the average worker toggles between about 8 different SaaS apps every single day.
That is insane. That's hundreds of context switches a week.
It really is.
Because when you jump from, say, Slack to Jira and then over to Salesforce, you aren't just moving your mouse, you're forcing your brain to load an entirely new mental operating system.
Right. The cognitive drain of reorienting yourself every single time you switch tabs, it's huge.
It's exactly why everyone feels completely fried by 2 in the afternoon.
Exactly.
Okay.
So then comes a second tax, which is the adoption tax.
Let me guess. Management sees the chaos of these 8 different apps.
And decides the solution is to buy a 9th app.
Of course they do.
Yeah, they buy a company intranet or a universal wiki to centralize everything.
But wait, if they buy a universal wiki, isn't it kind of management's fault if people are just too lazy to use it?
Well, the research says it's not laziness, it's a lack of trust.
Trust in the tool.
Yeah. The numbers show that 65% of documentation becomes outdated within weeks of being created.
Wow. 65%.
Weeks. So you pay for all these universal licenses, but the team abandons the wiki because the second they execute a search and find one stale piece of information,
Their trust in the system just evaporates.
Exactly. And they go right back to their individual silos, their own little diesel generators.
Which sets up the third and probably most expensive penalty at all, right? the innovation tax.
Oh, absolutely. This is when new technology, specifically AI, totally fails to deliver on its massive promises.
Because it simply cannot access the context that's trapped in all those other tools.
Exactly. If you deploy an AI agent to help your sales team, but that agent is blocked from pulling data from the engineering roadmap.
Or the support tickets.
Right, because those live on entirely different servers. Its utility is totally crippled. It's operating entirely blind.
So when you aggregate these three taxes, the switching, the adoption, and the innovation tax, what's the actual damage?
The financial penalty is severe. This disconnect costs organizations an average of $100,000 per 100 employees annually.
100 grand?
Yes, just in lost productivity alone.
That doesn't even factor in the strategic errors made because executives were looking at incomplete data.
Exactly.
But why do we build our networks this way? I mean, is the IT department just asleep at the wheel, rubber stamping every software request that comes across their desk?
It really stems from incompetence, honestly. The research attributes this to what they call the tool selection problem.
Tool selection problem, okay.
Yeah, when the marketing team needs a new solution, they evaluate software based solely on marketing's immediate operational needs.
They don't care about the rest of the company.
They don't have the budget, the timeline, or the mandate to worry about how that tool will talk to the engineering department's systems down the line.
And I imagine their KPIs don't reward them for playing nice with other departments either.
No, of course not. Humans respond to incentives. Sales reps receive bonuses for closing deals.
Right.
They do not receive bonuses for meticulously updating the company wiki with competitor insights they gathered on a discovery call.
So they naturally hoard that intelligence in their personal notebooks.
Or their private Slack channels. They protect their own local metrics at the expense of the company's collective intelligence.
So because the software doesn't natively talk to other software, the human employees are basically forced to act as the API.
We are the manual bridges.
Dragging data from one silo to another, which leads to this insane digital scavenger hunt. Let's talk about the human toll of that.
It's exhausting. Knowledge workers are wasting roughly 30% of their week just looking for information.
30%, that's almost a third of the work week.
Or managing communications about where information lives. It breaks down to about 2.8 hours a week just executing searches.
Oh my God.
And 3.6 hours managing endless threads trying to track down files.
Plus the 2.2 hours in pointless meetings to discuss the things they couldn't find. But you know the statistic that really got me?
Which one?
The 14% of time spent recreating work that already exists somewhere else.
Oh, that is the worst.
I mean, imagine spending 3 days writing a comprehensive market analysis, only to discover someone in another time zone wrote the exact same report a month ago.
But they saved it in a Google Drive folder you don't have permission to view.
Yes, it's deeply demoralizing.
It's no wonder 85% of workers cite these low-value, repetitive tasks as the primary driver of their burnout.
85%. And burnout has a very tangible cost, right?
Up to $21,000 per employee annually in turnover, lost productivity, and healthcare costs.
Okay, let's go back to Dave, the engineer from my example earlier.
Hi, yes, Dave.
The silos aren't just software. The research highlights type 3 silos, which is tacit or tribal knowledge.
Right, the stuff that never even makes it into a Google Drive.
Exactly. It's the senior developer who knows why a bizarre patch was applied to the codebase 3 years ago, or the account manager who knows exactly what time of day to call a difficult client.
That is the most precarious silo of all because it is entirely biological. It literally resides in one person's hippocampus.
And the median employee tenure right now is what, just 4.1 years?
Yep, 4.1. And the research estimates that a departing employee takes about $50,000 worth of undocumented tribal knowledge out the door with them.
50 grand. So a 100-person company with a 20% turnover rate is literally losing $1 million a year in pure institutional memory.
Every single year.
But if this tribal knowledge is so incredibly valuable, why aren't companies forcing these key players to document their workflows? I mean, does Dave just want to be irreplaceable?
Well, think about who holds the most valuable tribal knowledge.
The Daves.
Right. It's the highest performers, the veterans, the fixers. They are the busiest people in the entire organization.
Oh, I see where this is going.
The paradox of documentation is that the people whose knowledge is most critical to capture are the exact people who absolutely do not have 3 spare hours to sit down and write a procedural manual.
Because if Dave stops fixing the database to write a manual of fixing the database crashes.
Exactly. We cannot rely on manual documentation. It's a failed paradigm.
It really is.
If you demand humans manually type out their expertise while they are already drowning in actual work,
It's just not going to happen.
those efforts will always launch with a big kickoff meeting and then die 3 weeks later through sheer neglect.
Oh, so.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the only way forward is a system that captures knowledge seamlessly as a byproduct of the work itself.
Which sounds like the perfect transition to the tech industry's favorite magic bullet.
Here we go.
Artificial intelligence. Companies are throwing AI at this problem left and right, assuming a smart enough chatbot will just automatically digest the chaos and fix the silos.
And they are rapidly discovering that feeding siloed, fractured data into a large language model doesn't actually solve the problem.
Shocker.
It just creates a highly confident, incredibly fast, completely uninformed digital worker that we now have to manage.
But the adoption numbers are massive, right?
Oh, huge. 87% of digital workers are using AI, automating over a quarter of their tasks.
But here's the kicker. Only 13% actually claim it has significantly improved their company's performance.
13%.
The massive gap between those two numbers is filled by something the researchers call bot sitting.
Bot sitting. I love that term. It perfectly encapsulates the modern workplace. We brought in AI to be our assistant, and instead we became middle managers for an algorithm.
Right. Employees are losing 6.4 hours a week babysitting their AI.
6.4 hours.
But why is this happening? Mechanically, if I ask an LLM to write an email campaign for a new product, shouldn't it just be able to execute that?
Well, it will write an email campaign, but remember how LLMs are built? They are trained on the broad public internet.
Okay.
So out of the box, they know the grammatical structure of a marketing email perfectly, but they know absolutely nothing about your company's proprietary product specifications.
Or your historical win-loss data.
Exactly. Or the specific tone your CMO prefers.
Because all of that context is locked in those individual generators, those silos we talked about.
Right. Because the AI doesn't have access to your CRM or your internal Slack history, you, the human, have to manually gather all that context.
You literally have to fetch it yourself.
Yes, you paste it into the prompt, you review the output, you realize the AI hallucinated a product feature, you correct it and run it again.
You are doing the integration work the software should be doing.
Exactly. Siloed knowledge guarantees siloed AI.
That sounds utterly exhausting. And the research shows that this specific exhaustion leads directly to a related phenomenon.
Oh yeah.
Bot shitting.
Bot shitting.
People are so burnt out from bot sitting that they just give up on quality control entirely. 69% of workers admit to shipping AI-generated work without properly verifying it.
Which is a terrifying vulnerability for any organization.
Right.
When people are overwhelmed by the friction of their tools, they surrender their critical thinking. They see a beautifully formatted, authoritative-sounding paragraph generated by the bot, and they just pass it along to their manager or a client.
Even if it completely misses critical internal context.
Yeah, even if it's completely wrong for their specific company.
And get this, 41% said they couldn't even explain the work if they were questioned about it in a meeting.
Wow.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Are we basically just offloading our critical thinking to a bot and then acting as a stressed-out middle manager for an algorithm?
We absolutely are. We are essentially offloading our cognition to a system that doesn't actually know how our business runs.
And much of this is happening in the shadows, isn't it?
Oh, completely underground. The pressure to maintain high productivity means 54% of top performers are using unapproved AI tools.
Rogue AI.
Yeah, and 36% actively hide how much they rely on them. They want to maintain their status as top performers without revealing that a bot did all the heavy lifting.
But by using unapproved tools, they are literally creating new, invisible silos. If Dave is using a rogue AI on his personal browser to write his code, the company isn't capturing any of his process.
The cycle just accelerates.
So traditional intranets are graveyards, manual documentation is a paradox, and isolated AI just turns us into stressed-out bot babysitters.
It's a bleak picture.
It is. So how do the organizations actually winning this game fix it?
Well, the first thing they do is they abandon the concept of enterprise search.
Really? Just completely ditch it?
Yeah. The old model of a search bar on a company portal is fundamentally flawed because it's reactive. It relies on exact keyword matches.
Like searching Google in 1999.
Exactly. And more importantly, it requires the employee to already know that the answer exists somewhere.
Ah, I see.
If you don't know the marketing team did a churn analysis 6 months ago, you won't ever think to search for it.
Instead, the research points to this idea of context engineering and capturing organizational memory.
Yes.
Walk me through how that functions mechanically. What does an organization's memory actually look like?
It breaks down into 4 layers. You have working memory, which is the real-time context flowing through daily communications like Slack threads and emails.
Okay, that's layer 1.
Then you have episodic memory. That's the record of specific decisions, discussions, and project outcomes.
Got it.
Third is semantic memory, which is your structured foundational knowledge about your products and the industry.
And the fourth?
Procedural memory, the actual mechanics of how your company executes processes.
Okay, but capturing all 4 of those layers across 137 different apps? I mean, that sounds impossible.
It does, but the report breaks it down into a 3-step mechanism. Access, normalize, contextualize.
Access, normalize, contextualize. Let's start with access.
This is where APIs come in. Instead of asking employees to manually upload documents to a central hub, you build integrations that quietly pull data from Jira, Salesforce, Zendesk, and Google Drive in the background.
So the human workflow doesn't change at all.
Exactly. The humans keep doing what they're doing, but the data flows out of the silos automatically.
Wouldn't that just create a massive unreadable data swamp?
It would. Which brings us to step 2, normalize. The research states that 90% of enterprise information is unstructured.
Just messy PDFs, quick bullet points in an email, rough call transcript.
Right, and a standard database cannot easily read a rant in a Slack channel.
Definitely not.
So you use AI at this ingestion layer to standardize that messy, unstructured data into a uniform format. You extract the core entities, the decisions, and the dates, basically turning chaos into structured data.
Which makes the third step possible, contextualize.
Exactly.
This involves semantic tagging. How does that actually work to connect the dots across different departments?
Okay. Think of semantic tagging as giving the AI an understanding of underlying concepts, not just keywords.
Okay, give me a real-world example.
Let's say a customer submits a complaint ticket in Zendesk about a login error.
Sure.
A week later, an engineer logs a bug fix in Jira regarding an authentication protocol.
Right.
Semantic tagging analyzes the meaning behind both texts and maps a mathematical relationship between them.
So the AI understands that login error and authentication protocol are functionally related, even if they don't share any of the exact same vocabulary.
Precisely. So when a customer success manager asks the internal platform, hey, why is Acme Corp frustrated? The AI sees the entire board. It connects the Zendesk complaint directly to the Jira bug fix and generates an answer saying, they experienced an authentication issue, but engineering deployed a patch yesterday.
No bot sitting required.
Yeah.
Because the AI already has the full context of the business.
Exactly.
But it can't just be a tech deployment, right? There has to be a human cultural element to this transformation.
Oh, a massive one. If you do not change the incentives, the technology will fail. You have to make knowledge sharing a visible, rewarded behavior.
So you have to fix the KPIs.
Yes. If promotions are based entirely on cutthroat individual metrics, people will continue to hoard data. You have to evaluate performance based on how an employee contributes to the collective intelligence of the organization.
So what does this all mean for you when you log in tomorrow morning? Do you keep using your 8 daily apps, or do you demand a change?
What's fascinating here is that the companies pulling ahead aren't spending more time using AI.
Really?
They are spending more time on the work around it, setting the context, building the organizational memory, and deciding what not to automate.
They let the integrated platform handle the knowledge gathering so the humans can get back to critical thinking.
They use the tech to gather the context so the humans can focus on the strategy. It elevates the human worker instead of burying them in babysitting tasks.
So bridging this disconnected knowledge isn't just some IT cleanup project. It's a strategic survival necessity. It's how you keep your best people from burning out. And it's the only way you make AI actually useful without losing $1 million every time someone like Dave quits.
But it does leave us with a rather profound paradox.
Uh-oh.
Let's assume a company perfectly executes this context engineering.
Okay.
If the system automatically captures 100% of the tribal knowledge and procedural memory, meaning absolutely no expertise is ever lost when someone quits,
Right.
does the individual employee become entirely replaceable? Are we engineering away our own job security in the pursuit of perfect efficiency?
Oof, that is a heavy thought to mull over as you stare at the bottom of your empty glass. Tomorrow, when you log on, keep an eye on the clock. Ask yourself, how much time did you actually spend doing your job today, and how much time did you spend bot sitting? Thanks for joining us at the bar for this deep dive. We'll catch you next time.